Good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. So, in the previous sessions, we have already covered up to React. So, our front end part is basically done. And from today onwards, we are going to start with the backend, right? So, in backend, basically, we are going to start with Node.js, a runtime environment for using for server side, where we can run our JavaScript code for server side also. Don't worry, if you have not any idea about Node.js, then there is no problem regarding that because we are going to cover each and everything from basic to advanced. Okay, so let me just share my screen first and then I will let you know that what are the things we are going to cover today and what is basically this Node.js. So before that, we have covered HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. All these four things has been done. Now we will cover Node.js, Express.js. After that, your databases like MySQL as well as MongoDB. Okay. And then the integration part and finally deployment of a full stack project. So you will be completely ready for a one full stack project that you can create at your end and accordingly you can deploy it. Okay, then I'm going to start with this Node.js first. So basically before starting, let me tell you that what is this Node.js, why we require it and why it is important. Okay, so just a second. Yes. So basically what was happening up to now that we were using JavaScript for the React part only, right? Like in React, we were using our JavaScript part. But Node.js is a platform in which you can use the same JavaScript which we're using in front end to the backend part also. So this is one thing why we use Node.js because it tells you that you can use JavaScript for two works. In front end, you are using it already, but same language you can use in your backend, and that makes it good. So Node.js is a free open source tools that let you run JavaScript outside the web browser. Now here they have written that it lets you run JavaScript outside the web browser. Now what is it mean by that outside a web browser? So basically outside the web browser tells that you are running this JavaScript part at the server side. There are two sides. One is client side, other is server side. Client side we also known as front end and your server side is known as back end. So basically through Node.js you can run the JavaScript which is a front end language to back end part also. With Node.js, you can build fast and scalable applications like web servers, application programming interfaces, and more. Okay. Now they are saying you that what can you build with the Node.js? So Node.js uses an event-driven non-blocking model. So basically, it is an event-driven non-blocking model. Non-blocking means asynchronous model. Means that while a task is taking some time, it will parallelly execute another task at that time. So that's why it is non-blocking, means it will not stuck at a particular instruction or a particular task. When we will learn about the Node.js architecture, then it will be more clear to you. Okay, so don't worry if you right now they have used these two words simultaneously. So don't worry, when we will move to the architecture part, I will let you know that how it works. Now, it can handle many connections at once without waiting for one to finish before starting another. Now, what they are saying, they are explaining you that why it is called non-blocking. So, if there are multiple tasks, they will not wait for a task to finish to start the another task. That's the beauty of Node.js. Okay. Now, this makes it great for real-time apps and high-traffic websites. Here are some examples of what you can build with Node.js: web servers and websites, REST APIs, real-time apps like chat, command line tools, and many more things. So how to run a Node.js code? So for that, you have to use this node and the file name, and then you are good to just execute it. So what is basically the purpose of doing that? So that you can create a particular site at your end and you can run it, you can execute it through your port number. Okay, that you can create a web server at your end. There are different modules in Node.js which we are going to learn, that how to do the HTTP module, like hypertext transfer protocol. Then another one is your file system like module, which we are going to learn in the upcoming section. Like here, the core modules of Node.js are HTTP module, file system module, path module, URL module. These are important terms over here. So we are going to look into that also once we will cover these basic things. Okay, so the first steps I will tell you is to how you can download Node.js. Okay, so I am just showing you. So Node.js download, there is their official website, nodejsorg.com. So here it is. So if we move over here, you can see that I have already downloaded it at my end, but still I will let you know that how you can do it. Come to this download section over here in the nav bar, scroll a bit, here you will see window installer.msi. So just download it. For Windows, we have to install it. So I am installing it at my end. Just make sure that same steps you have to follow in order to install it successfully at your end. Okay, it is done. Now just move on here. So in background, it is started. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Just a second. Oh, wait. Yeah, please wait while the setup wizards prepare. Now it is asking for doing next. Then there are some acceptance like argument or agreements that you have to follow. Then this is showing you the path that where you want to install this Node.js. Okay. And Node.js runtime, just do next, next, next. And whenever it is asking for something to asking you to like for some tools so that they can install it at your end, just give the permission over there and you are good to go. As soon as I have hit install button at my end, as this is already installed, so it will ask me one more time regarding the permission that the status is not started over here, but at your end you can see that it will be started and you can just download it directly. So if I see here right now, I'm not getting that. Just a second. It will be pop up to my screen. Okay, yeah, here it is, and I will just do it. Yes, and now you can see it will start installing at my end also. So we will wait for a while until and unless it will get completed. Okay, yeah, so it is installing at my end. You can also check it. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yes. So it is removing previous files over there and installing it newly. So I will let you know that how we can cross check that is it installed at our end or not. Okay, to verify that we have to basically use a command node space -v, which I have already mentioned in the previous sessions. Whenever we have to just check that Node.js install at our end or not, right? So if those students who have regularly attending the session, they know that I have already tell you about these processes. But still we are starting from scratch, so that's why I'm guiding you that how you can install it at your end. Okay, so and while it is taking some time, let me recap that what we have done up to now. We have seen that what is a Node.js. Node.js is a runtime environment which lets you to execute your JavaScript at the server side. Okay, it is used to create different type of web applications, real-time chat applications and other things, APIs, so that we can navigate through a particular route to get that output, right? That is what we can do through Node.js. So it is installed now. So what I have to do, I have to just a second open my command prompt. You can also open your command prompt, and there you have to use a command node space hyphen v. Means you are going to check that which version is being installed. So if I press enter, you can see v24 12.2. If you are getting this, that means that it is installed at your end. If you are not getting them, that means that there is some glitch while installing. You have to install it again. Otherwise, it will not show you the version over here, whatever version has been installed. Okay, means we have successfully installed Node.js now from basic. Now let's move ahead and let's check. There is something, code over here. Let's try to understand that what is this code. And this is a basic Node.js code, how Node.js code look like. Say JavaScript has been used, some modules has been used over here. I will let you know more about them and will reach to the module part, but still I will try to explain each and everything over here. Okay, first of all, see, you are going to use some built-in function like create server. Okay, so Node.js tell that this create server function definition is written inside my HTTP module. Okay, module is basically a file system where your code has been written. Okay, and whenever you call this, it will grant you the permission to use the function defined inside these modules. Okay, same thing we were doing in C, C++ also, like if I have to use some built-in function, then what I have to do, I have to import that library. This is a example that how you can import that library in Node.js. Okay, how you are importing it? Let HTTP equals to through this require, you are basically importing require function, you are importing your HTTP module to the code. Okay, no problem. Then using as this variable now stores, or this object now store all the module built-in function. So through this I am calling my create server. Now this create server will take a callback function. What is a callback function? A function inside a function. You can see create server is a function, and this function request and response is also a function. Whenever there is a condition where two functions are inside each other, that is known as callback. Two or more function are inside each other, that is known as callback function. So basically this is a callback function. Now what will happen through this? What is this req and what is this res? So this req is known as request and this res is known as response. Now see, as a user, if you want to fetch the data from the backend, okay, so you have to hit some request, you have to enter some request. So that request is basically from client side, and the response you get in order to that particular request is known as response. Okay, so this is known as request response cycle. Okay, now response dot write head, here we are going to share some status code 200. Now all of you are familiar that 200 stands for okay status code, like 404 stands for error. Okay, like that we are using it. Now content type means what type of content you will get, a text or a plain content, and you have to end the response by a string hello world. Means as soon as you have received the request, the backend has received the request, after the responding, after responding to it, you have to response and end it as soon as you hit this hello world string to the output screen, you have to end that response. This is the meaning of this line. And where this server will listen to you, like where your backend is right now running, or where you have to see that at which port your website is running, that is basically dot listen at whatever port you are giving over here. So you are giving 8080, so that's why it will run at 8080. So now what I will do, I will just try to copy it. We will just move to our VS Code, create a separate folder for Node.js and try to execute all these files. Okay, just a second. Here is our VS Code. So I am now closing this React folder. I will create a new folder, okay, for our Node.js part. Node.js. I can give it a name. Okay, and I have to select this folder. Okay, now we have created an empty folder, right? I have to create a .js file over here. So I will create a file named index.js. Okay, here the file is created. Now we will start our code part. So basically I will create my server. Right now in front end, we are not able to create our a particular server, right? That we are going to create through Node.js. Just a second. And here, if I tell you that you can create your server at whatever port you want, instead of 8080, if you are going to write here 9899, the process will look like same. Okay, let's try to execute it. Open the terminal. What is the command to execute a Node.js file? Okay, just a second. Let me it. Here is the new terminal. And what is the command to execute it? Node space the file name, which is index.js. See, as soon as I have hit this, can you see? I am getting empty line, means no response is coming. That means your server has started, just you have not given any console command. So that's why nothing is printing in the terminal. Okay, this is the meaning of it. Okay, so sir, how we can see the output? For that, you have to move to your Chrome. You have to open this new one. Here, just mention localhost colon whatever the port number you have used in this listen function. So I have used 9899. Okay, so instead of 3000, I have to make it 9899 and press enter. So can you see that at this particular URL, I am getting this output. And as soon as I am getting this hello world output, whatever is written inside my code, what I have to do, I have to, yeah, as soon as I am getting it, what I have to do, I have to basically end the response cycle. Yeah, so that is working properly fine. You can change the content accordingly, like, hey, once this site. So you can see that here, if I refresh it now, I will not get the output, because for Node.js, you have to restart the server in order to see some changes. For that, we basically going to in future see about node-mon. Right now, don't worry about it. We are going to just restart it and then we will hit the server again, and hey, once this side is coming. Okay, I hope it is clear to you, and you are also executing this function at your end. Once again, let me explain that how it is happening, how you are creating your own URL on which you are listening to that particular request response, right? So how you are creating your server through create server function, and this is in camel case syntax. Okay, and what is happening, it is inside HTTP module, so you are importing it, and this is the way to import a module in CommonJS. I will let you know about CommonJS. Don't worry about that. That is basically a module type in which this is how you will import it. Okay. Now http.create server, a callback function which will have some request and according to that have some response. Okay, to handle those requests and response. Now response write head and response dot add with a string which is hello world. And this create server function will basically listen at a particular port. Dot listen the port number at which you want to execute your server. So it is up to you that whatever port number you are writing over here, at that particular port number you should get the output. Okay. Now there is not much over here. They are telling about npm, but I will not tell you about npm right now, because it is a separate section. I will let you know whenever we reach over here. Okay. Now, Node.js intro. What basically we are going to learn through this Node.js uh, slides, or you can say architecture, like how to install and run. We have already done that. Core concept like modules and event loop. That is, both are important over here. What is a module? How many types of module are there? What are the building function of a module? Then this event loop. Like event loop plays a vital role in Node.js architecture. Sorry. Yeah, how to build web servers and APIs, working with databases and file, deploying Node.js application. All these things we are going to basically see over here. So Node.js is a free open source JavaScript runtime that runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, and other platforms also. It let you execute JavaScript code outside a web browser. I have already told you that outside the web browser means at a server side, enabling server side development with JavaScript. Now, what make basically Node.js fast is this V8 engine. V8 engine is basically a platform which we use so that it makes Node.js fast. Node.js is designed for building scalable network application. Now, if we talk about V8 engine, so it is nothing but it is a Google open source JavaScript engine. And why it is used? Basically, just a second. Here we were. Wait. Yeah. So basically, why we were using this Node.js V8 engine? That V8 engine basically converts your JavaScript into machine native code, means machine understandable code. It will convert that JavaScript part to that. Okay, so that it will be easy for your machine to understand that code part, and accordingly it will make it fast. Okay. Now, why we are using Node.js? What is Node.js? We have come to answer that, but why Node.js? So Node.js excels at handling many simultaneous connections. The reason is that it is asynchronous in nature, means it can handle multiple tasks at a time. Right? So for real-time application like chatting, gaming, collaboration tools, this is a good one. APIs and microservices, data streaming, and other things that we have to create through Node.js. Now we have to talk about asynchronous programming. Then you will come to know that how Node.js is asynchronous. Okay. So what is asynchronous programming? You all have idea about of asynchronous programming, but still we are going to cover it, that what is asynchronous programming. So if there will be any doubt regarding that, that will be solved. Okay. So Node.js uses asynchronous. The name is providing us asynchronous. That means that it will not be synchronous. Means it will not in sequence. That is something which we come to know after reading this name. Okay. And alternate name for asynchronous process is non-blocking. So this means it can keep working while waiting for tasks like reading files or talking to database. So what they are saying, suppose there are 4 tasks. Okay. So out of the first task is like print a line. Second task is to read a file and then print those lines. Third task is again printing a line. So what should happen? That okay, the first thing will be like first task was to read a file. The first task was to print the line. So it will done at that time immediately. Okay. But the second task is reading a file. So that will take some nanoseconds, okay, or some time. So to manage that also, this is what asynchronous function do, that reading input output task can be handled in background. Your uh, software is not going to halt at that particular time. It will not set ideal. It is not going to basically uh, stop at that particular time. It will try to execute other things parallelly. Okay, so it will be more clear when we just go through this example, then it will be clear to you that what I am trying to say. So const fs equals to require fs. What we are doing through it, we are basically importing our fs module. What is fs? File system module. Okay, fs dot read file. So fs.read file. Read file is a function which read file asynchronous. We'll come to know that what is it mean. So what are the argument we have to provide? We have to provide the file name which we want to read. No problem, that we have to give, that whatever file we have to read, we have to give their name. Then what is this UTF-8? I have already told you about UTF-8 when we were learning about HTML, that it is used for character encoding. Means character by character we have to read. Then there is a callback function which is having two parameters. One is ERR, stands for error, and other is data. Why these two arguments are used here? Because whenever you are reading a file, there might be two possibility. First one, that the file is not found. Okay, and in that case you will get the error. But if the file is there and you have read it successfully, that means that you have to log out some data from that. So that is why we are using a arrow function for that, so that we can handle those two things. So if in case there will be an error, you have to console that error. Otherwise, you have to console the data. No problem. And then there is another line which is console.log reading file. This run first. Now, if we are using by default, this read file function is asynchronous function. Now, what does it mean by asynchronous function? As soon as this code will come for evaluation or execution, they will check that my file.txt will be read it first and then their data will be console, right? So it will take some time. So in order to keep that time in use, they will execute this function parallelly. Okay, means when until and unless this file reading process is happening, they will pass the command to the another line code written over there, and that will be executed first. So instead of stucking over here, they will send the command to the next line of code, and then you can execute those files also. And when this task will be get completed, it will also print the output to console. Let's try to understand this after executing it. Okay, what we are doing, we are just executing this file, Control A, Control V, and if I restart it, okay, can you see this line is coming first, but it is not defined at first. At first, the line are here. Okay, means these line has to be executed first. If it will be executing it synchronously or sequential manner, but instead of that, we are executing this first. And how it is decided? Based on the time they are taking. If a task is taking some time, your asynchronous programming will share the command to next lines of code, so that it can be handled parallelly. Okay, and this will keeps your system not ideal form. Okay, and that is important when you are performing multiple tasking. So in this example, we load the built-in fs module. We call read file function to read a file. Node.js continue to the next line while reading the file, and when the file is read, our callback function run. So they are saying that that's how it is working. What can Node.js do? These are some things which it can do. Now, yeah, so if I ask you this question, that Node.js lets you run that outside the browser. So what is the correct option out of this? HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Python. I hope you are clear that only JavaScript is something which we can use for backend as well as frontend, and Node.js provide the environment where we can use JavaScript outside the browser, means at the server side also. So if I submit the answer, you can see it is a correct one. Okay. Now they are telling you that this is how you can install it. We have already installed it. Okay. And we have already executed this function, which is written over here. And what is the command to execute the file of Node.js? Node space the name of file. So that's how we are doing it. It is also done. Now you have to also answer one more question, that how to run a Node.js file, dash dot file name, dash space file name. So the correct answer is node. And if I submit it, you can see this is the correct one. Through node space file name, we are executing a Node.js file. Now Node.js requirement. Yeah, before moving to the requirement, basically in requirement part, they are telling you that you have to be uh, good in JavaScript, right? Because if it is based on a JavaScript part, then only after knowing JavaScript you can execute it, right? So that's why it is important to learn JavaScript first. Okay. So they are telling you that you have to be clear with variable functions, object arrays, asynchronous programming, and ES6 features. This is how they are telling you that these things have to be clear for you. And we already know these things, right? Okay, no problem. Now we will move to Node.js versus browser. That what is the difference between a Node.js environment and a browser? So key difference, Node.js and browser both run JavaScript, but they have different environment and capabilities. Basically, browsers run the JavaScript for the client side for the front end, and Node.js run the JavaScript for the back end. So Node.js is defined for the server side development. Server side development means at the backend part, okay? And while browser I are for client side application. Client side mean front end, as I have already told you. Okay, APIs. So through Node.js, we can create APIs for file system, networking, and OS, which browsers do not. So through browsers, you can't create this APIs. Okay. Global object, module, security, event loop, both environment use an event loop, but Node.js has additional API for timers. Not that much important, just you have to make sure that basically your browser is used for front end, your Node.js is used for server side development. Then through Node.js, you can create APIs, you can create real-time application, but it is not possible through your backend only, or front end only. Okay. Then there are some codes which we don't have to execute now. Okay. So if I move to the Node CMD line, we will see these things are not that much important. So that's why I'm not more focusing on it. So now Node V8 engine. Now V8 engine, I have already told you that it will convert the JavaScript to the machine native language so that it will make it fast. And what makes React fast? That I have already told you, that is virtual DOM. Okay. The V8 engine in Google's open source JavaScript engine used by Chrome and Node.js, it compiles JavaScript to native machine code for fast execution. Okay, this is important that I have already told you that it compiles JavaScript to the native machine code for the fast execution. Origin of V8 engine developed by Google for Chrome in 2008. Okay, integration, Node.js uses V8 to provide JavaScript runtime on the server, feature like just-in-time compilation and other things. Okay. This is basically why we use V8 engine. Now node architecture. This is the thing which you have to make sure that you will come to know that how these things are working. Okay, this is a particular process that how Node.js work. So before starting it, I just want that you can have a quick review that whatever we have covered up to now. Now, what is Node.js, how we have installed it, what is HTTP module and how we are importing that through require function. Then after that, we have learned about create server function, which take a callback function and listen at a particular port. After that, we have seen Node.js versus browser part and what is V8 engine. V8 engine is a platform developed by Google for your Chrome in 2008, and basically it converts your JavaScript or compiles your JavaScript code to the machine native code. Okay. Yeah. So now just a minute break, and then are going to start with our this architecture. Okay, so now let's start with the architecture part. So this is a Node.js architecture. Okay, there are four phases. You have to be careful. Just listen carefully, and like a story, just remind these steps, and it will be quite easy for you. Okay, so client first one is client request phase. So what happens that suppose client send request to the Node.js server and that request is added to event queue. Just make sure, see what happens that if as a client you are sending some request to backend, in backend there will be some processing, right? After that you will get your response. So in this request response cycle, basically what is the architecture of Node.js through this it is completed, that we have to understand. So first one is that client sends a request. So this is client request phase in which client send his request, and as you know that there will be multiple clients, right? So there may be possibility that there will be multiple requests at same time. So in that case each request is added to a event queue. This event queue is now basically having all the request, whatever the request is coming from the client side. So what is first step? Client request phase. What happens in client request phase? That you are going to send some request. That request are going to store in event queue. And from event queue, basically, you have to select one request at a time, right? Let's move to second phase. Client phase is clear to you. That request will come at a time and that will be stored in a event queue. Now event loop phase. The event loop continuously check the event queue. So this event loop is what which checks the event queue, that is there any request in event loop. So it picks request one by one in a loop. Are you getting it? That what is happening in client phase, you are sending just the request and that request are storing in event queue. Now from event queue, you have to select some requests, right? So what that is happened in the event loop phase. This event loop is a mechanism through which basically what you are doing, you are checking event queue continuously and picking request one by one. Okay. Now request processing. Now comes like you have chosen a particular request. Now this request has to be checked, right? If that is a simple request, simple means a simple console.log, so simple request like console.log and print something. Okay. So that can be handled immediately by the main thread. This is important. Now, whatever through event loop, suppose you have picked a request, that is a simple request, that means that you have to provide the response for that simple request immediately. Okay, this is one scenario, but there might be a possibility that the picked request can be complex, like input output, it will take some time to read a file. Okay, that is a complex request. So these tasks are not immediately responded. These are shared to a thread pool, means they are offloaded to the thread pool where in background they are completed and then their response will be sent after some time. So what happened in request processing phase, that if it is a simple task or if it is a simple request, then only provide the response immediately. Otherwise, run the other task to parallel, or run the complex task parallelly. Okay. Now response phase. When blocking task completes, means those tasks which were taking time, when these tasks are completed, their callbacks are placed in callback queue. Means you have to keep a track, right? That how many tasks are there which are not having executed immediately, or for them the response have not been given immediately. For those tasks, basically, we will store that in our callback queue. And now in callback queue, we have the list for it. Okay, that these tasks are, whenever these tasks will be completed, we have to also provide the response for it. So event loop processes callbacks and send response, means now again event loop uh, come to action and it will check this callback queue, and in callback queue as soon as a particular task has been completed, we send their response. I hope it is clear to you. Let's again from phase 1 to 4 see that how it is happening. In client request phase, what should happen? As a client, we are sending some request. So there will be multiple requests. So we are creating an event queue where all the requests are stored. First phase done, then second phase. Now we have to select one request at a time from that event queue. For that, we use a event loop. Okay. And through that event loop, what we have to do? Now request has been chosen. Okay. Now we have to check that is it a simple request or is it a complex request? In case if that will be a simple request, we have to provide the output immediately. But if it is a complex request, we will throw it to a callback queue where a event loop will manage all the things that as soon as that complex request has been completed, if suppose the complex request is reading a file and then printing the data, if that reading file is completed, then only you have to put the response to the user end. Okay, this is how Node.js work. And this is known as Node.js single-threaded event-driven architecture that is designed to handle many connections as one efficiently and without blocking the main thread. Okay. Now, single-threaded means that through one main thread, they are executing all the responses and other threads are basically doing the task parallelly. Okay. That's why it is known as single-threaded event-driven architecture. Okay. Now, non-blocking example. This is example they have written over here, which is a non-blocking. Non-blocking means asynchronous again. So what is happening here? Through this, you have imported the file system library so that you can use a built-in function in file system module, which is read file. Okay. Now console.log before file read. Okay. You have printed a console that before file reading, this should be printed. Now, fs.read file. So we have the knowledge now that this read file is asynchronous, means it will pass the execution to the other line of code and parallelly try to execute this function. Okay, it is taking a file, myfile.txt. It is telling us that UTF-8 means read it character by character. If there will be any error, that will be throw an error, and if there will be data inside it, that the data will be consoled. And whenever this task will take some time, you have to pass the command to the other line of code and that will execute first. So let's try it. Now what I'm going to do, I am just copying it, moving to my VS Code and controlling it, pasting it like this. Now to have some data over there, what I have to do, I have to create a myfile.txt. Okay, and here I will write some content, hello Vansh. Okay, now it is good. Now we can try to execute this file. Oh wait, not npm run dev. For clearing the terminal, we have to use a command clear. Now I have to do index node space index.js. Now you can see before file read. Okay, this is good that this is a simple request. We have resolved it directly. Now this is something which will take some time. So it is throw to the callback queue. Okay. And when callback queue is working on it, your another request has been accepted until then. And this is after reading line. So it is a simple request. It is also giving the response immediately. And as soon as this file reading part has been done, what should happen? That the content will be printed. Like file content is hello bunch. If the file was not there, we will get a error that file not found. Okay, this is how these things work. Now blocking versus non-blocking code. So sir, this is basically, so what we are doing here, we are using asynchronous function, mean that we are seeing that it will not block our code. But what is the function in which the execution will be blocked and after that task will be completed, then only the command will follow to the other line of code. So this is the example for it. Just see that how it is happening. Console.log start of blocking code const data is equals to fs.read file sync. Sync stands for synchronous. So whenever there is a function read file sync, that means you are now going to execute the line of code sequentially. So what it will do, myfile.txt utf-8, read it line by line. And after reading it only, you will move to the next line. So this is known as asynchronous code. Okay. When do you use Node.js? Input output bound application means file operation whenever you have to perform databases query, network request, to create real-time applications, to create APIs and microservices. Okay. Node.js is fast and efficient because it uses a non-blocking event loop and delegate heavy work to the system. Means they are saying that Node.js is quietly used because it is efficient and it is a non-blocking event loop, that it handles multiple requests simultaneously through the single threaded event driven architecture. Now the key benefit for Node.js, that is handle many concurrent connection efficiently, great for input output bound application, use JavaScript on both client and server side, and that is great. Because with a single language only, if you have a knowledge of a single language, then only you can create also the backend for it and also the front end for it. So that is very good. Now Node.js is built on a dash architecture. What is the architecture for Node.js? We have already covered it. Multi-threaded, synchronous, blocking, yes, or single thread event driven. So the correct answer is single thread event driven. Yeah, so it is also done. So this is basically how Node.js works. So today session is more like the theoretical part, right? So we have just seen about the basic things in Node.js, and from the upcoming section, we will see the module basics, like how many type of modules are there, common JS module and ES module, what is the difference between both of them. Okay, that we will see. Then the npm node package manager we are going to see. Then what is this package.json. So I guess that okay, as we have covered these things, so I will tell you one or two things more now, like what is this node modules. Let's go with this flow. Okay, node modules we are going to cover. Modules are the building blocks of Node.js applications, allowing you to organize code into logical, reusable component. So basically, they are saying that through this Node.js, you can create a reusable and logical components, and whenever you want to use those function, built-in function over there in a module, you can import that module and use it. Okay, so how they help you to organize code into manageable files, encapsulating functionality, preventing global namespace pollution. Now, core built-in modules. They are telling you that Node.js provide several built-in modules that are compiled into binary. Here are some of the most common modules. So FS, we have already seen file system, in which it consists multiple built-in functions like read file synchronously, and then appending some content to a file, joining the path of a file like that. Then HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol, a path module. OS, this will tell you about the CPU architecture, events, util stream, crypto, uniform resource locator, parsing, and query string. All these modules we are going to see in the core module part, out of which FS is important, HTTP is important, path is important, OS is quite basic, and URL is important. So these 4-5 modules are there, which we are going to see in detail. Okay. Now, this example we have already now executed. That you have imported it through HTTP module, and what you are doing, you are just creating a server which will listen at a particular port, and then you are providing them the response accordingly. Okay. Now there is one thing which is exporting multiple items. Means exporting term, now we are already having an idea because we are coming through React. So I have tell you that why we export something, so that we can use that part in the other file. Okay, like a function, if I am exporting it from one file, the main reason for that is so that I can import those functionality in another file, like we were doing in car.js and app.jsx. Okay, same things they are telling you that how you can import a particular file and execute it accordingly. So let's try to understand this. What they are doing, they have created a get current date function. This is a arrow function. What it is doing, it is using a date to ISO string format, means it is providing you in return the current date. Okay, the present date they are providing. Okay, then there is another format currency function they are creating, in which they are taking amount and currency equals to US dollars as the parameter and returning you the international number format. Like style will be currency current and format dot amount, whatever will the amount, that dollar symbol you will get over there. Okay, these two functions they have created, right, in file utils.js. Now what they are doing, they are exporting them. Now this is different way to export, which is like exports dot get current date, means the function name. Here you have to write the function name, and here you have to store a variable in which you are exporting it. So exports dot get current date, and from where it will come, from the get current date function. Similarly, you have to call a format currency. This is also your function, arrow function, storing your arrow function, and this is also storing your arrow function. So this is how you are exporting both of these two files. Why you are exporting? I will tell you that in the main file, in this file app.js, they are importing it. Okay. Then there is export a single item. If you want to export a single item, there is a class logger. It will set the current state name of object to the name which is passed through the constructor. Then a message, whatever will be the message, that message will be printed. Whatever will be the error, that error will be printed. How to export it? You are exporting it through module.exports equals to logger. No problem. Now see, both of them you have exported. Now in the third file, you are importing them. See how. So this is how we were importing custom modules like const, get current date, and format currency. These were two functions which we have exported over there. These two functions we are importing. So requires and the path means in which file they are present in utils.js. So we have provided the proper path in require function. Same thing with logger. And you can see here what we are doing. We are creating a new logger app and just doing something here. Let's try to understand this bit of code now. Quite easy. Creating a HTTP server, okay, and logging something over there like rest.write, welcome to our app. This will be printed rest.write current date. And what is the current date? Through this current date function, you are calling it. Now, where this current date function is written, this is written inside utils.js. So through this, it will navigate to util.js and see that here you are calling the present date. So it will console that date to you. So this is how this importing and exporting things work. Okay. So just make sure that you have an idea about it, that how the things are working. Now format currency 99.99. Now what should happen, that you are calling your format currency. Okay. So let's go to format currency. Here it is format currency, and you are providing them the amount. So if you are providing them the amount, then what you are wanting, that format that account in the USD, means euro US dollars. Okay, so in US dollar means that I should get a dollar symbol over there with this 99.99. Okay, and where it will listen, it will listen at a port number 3000. So process.env is something else, and they are using here this or operator. Through this, what is happening, that in case if .env file has been not created, then it will take 3000 as the default port and execute your file over there. Okay, nothing much you have to like learn from this, you have to just basically go through once this code part, what they are saying, that through this file they have created two function, exported them. Through this file they have created one function, exported them. And in third file, what they are doing, they are importing both of those functionalities and using it over here. This is the basic thing. Okay. And I don't think there are much to tell you about this. So in the upcoming session, basically we are going to continue from here only. Just give me a idea about this, that how we can execute this. Const HTTP equals to, for importing what we have to use, name, default or asterisk. We have to use require. So const HTTP equals to require HTTP. And this is a, let's check correct or wrong answer, correct answer. Okay. So in the upcoming session, we are going to see from the Node.js ES module that what is ES module and what is common JS modules. There are two types of modules. We are going to discuss about it, that how they are different. Okay. From this, we are going to start in the upcoming session. So I don't want that uh, it will be more in a one session, and as those things are quite easy, so we will take our time. You can like go through all the things, theoretical part, whatever we have covered, so that it will be easy for you. Like what is V8 engine, that should be on your tips, that it will convert the JavaScript to machine native code. Then you have to be clear about that what is the architecture. Okay, what are the steps or phases in that particular architecture? That first of all, a client will send the request. Then after that, what should happen? After that, that request will be accepted one by one through the event loop. Then it will get processed. If that is a simple request, you will get the response immediately. Otherwise, that will complex request will be shared to the callback queue. In that, event loop will manage all the things also, that it will check it one by one. If the task has been completed in backend, it will provide you the output for it. So this is how it is working. Okay, so just make sure that you have all the knowledge about these things, and I hope that everything is clear to you now. Okay, so in upcoming session, we are going to cover the modules part, the npm node package manager, that how we can install something through node package manager, and few codes regarding these things. Okay, so thank you so much. Have a nice day. Happy learning. We'll connect tomorrow.